Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we talk about what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, in the light of the West's refusal to buy Russian oil, other buyers have been showing huge levels of interest in it and buying up vast quantities. In fact, most of them are really making serious amounts of money out of it. In fact, the only people who are not making money out of it are the Europeans who introduced the ban on Russian oil. Firstly, we turn to India and China. According to OPEC, Russia retained its position as the leading supplier of oil to China and India in May. Russian exporters supplied over 40% of India's total imports and 20% of China's. It's evident that these countries benefit from the growth of their economies due to the availability of less expensive than market prices for Russian energy resources. However, it's not just them. Russian oil and oil products are also purchased by countries themselves that are exporters. Consequently, in 2023, the United Arab Emirates saw a fourfold increase in the imports of Russian oil products, reaching a record high level of $970 million. Now, this is corroborated by data from the Ministry of the Economy of the Emirates. Now, Azerbaijan also has been getting involved and expanded its operations to take advantage of the profits to be made out of Russian oil and Europe's ban. It has a branch pipeline network that's been connected with Russia since the Soviet era. And at the end of last year, they looked at the possibility of increasing the flow through the Tikharetsk-Baku oil pipeline, which is currently underutilized. Now, it's estimated that the volume of Russian oil supplies to Azerbaijan could actually reach 4 million tons per year. And the reason behind this is really explained. They can resell the oil as though it's their own. The UAE also buys Russian fuel oil at a discount to world prices while selling its own oil and oil products to Europe at the market price, according to Sergei Sugorov, who's an investment strategist at Ari Capital Management. This is despite the reduction in discounts on Russian oil products and the fact that they still are very lower than they are on Russian oil itself. Now, before I continue, I'd like to appeal to you for your support of my channel, which will help me develop it and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com. You can do that by making a small donation. All you have to do is click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. I appreciate all the donations, and I'll personally thank everybody who makes a donation personally. Now, why are the countries of the Middle East, including the United Arab Emirates, purchasing these products for use in their own fuel-powered plants? Well, then they export their own oil products to Europe because their production costs are low. So buying at a lower price and then selling higher with a tasty margin has now become a common practice, said Igor Yushkov, who's an analyst at the Russian Financial University and a member of the National Energy Security Fund. Many others have also followed this strategy throughout 2022 and into 2023. And even North African countries such as Algeria and Libya have purchased Russian fuel oil and diesel for their own consumption and then selling their own production to the EU. Unfortunately for them, there's a short transportation route between the countries and the EU. As I said, Azerbaijan's also getting involved in this scheme as they've established routes for purchasing oil in Russia and subsequently delivering it to Turkey. Now, Turkey is also increasing its purchases of Russian oil. Russian oil represents about 40% of its total imports, and it's been the primary supplier of oil to Turkey for the last 2 years. In 2023, Turkey purchased 10.7 million tons of crude and a similar quantity of diesel fuel from Russia. Now, in the light of the growth in diesel fuel imports and other petroleum products, the volume of oil and oil products, petroleum products to Turkey from Russia has increased to 25 million tons, and that's up 51%. So Yushkov states that Turkey consistently purchases significant quantities of Russian oil via the Norway's Sursk pipeline. which goes direct from Russia to Turkey, citing the cost effectiveness and the convenience of this particular route. I mean, from this, Russian refineries produce oil products and petroleum, etc., using the part domestically, and the rest is sold on to Europe, particularly the Balkan countries. Now, this enables them to circumvent the prohibition on the re-export of Russian oil and oil products, plus they're earning additional revenue. Now, according to the statistics for 22 and 23, there's a notable alignment of Turkey's purchases of Russia oil products and their delivery of finished products to the EU. Obviously, after the EU rulings, Russia's been pursuing alternative sales channels, and it's just announced the beginning of energy supplies to Pakistan, with the potential for future increases. Now, Pakistan's likely purchasing the fuel and oil for its own consumption, as it's not engaged in export activities. However, it's worth noting that these strategies will still remain viable as long as Russia offers even small discounts to the market price. And this discount is always beneficial to Arab countries as purchasing oil products instead of sending them to the European market. They send their own. I mean, despite the discount, the venture has proved quite profitable. According to the Russian Ministry of Finance, revenues from the sale of energy resources have increased by 70% in the first half of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023 and reached $5.7 trillion, which is about 60 million, so that was ruble, $60 billion. Figure $700 billion is higher than the forecast, and that's because of the price increase of Russian oil. I mean, for the last year, price of Urals oil has been trading at a much higher price than the Western set ceiling of $60 per barrel. So despite the best efforts of those in Washington, London and Brussels to restrict Russian oil exports, they've all proven effective, and even Western experts are acknowledging that. Also, the United States is reluctant to impose further restrictions or sanctions on Russian oil, given that Russia's 12% share of the global market. I mean, taking any part of that volume out of the market would lead to higher gasoline prices, potentially impacting Joe Biden's prospects in the up-and-coming presidential election. And he doesn't need that as if they weren't bad enough at the moment. I mean, at the end of the day, Europe is a primary financial loser in all this. Currently, the price of oil and oil products from Arab countries is higher for the Europeans than the Russian supplies once were, and this is due to the lengthier supply chains involved. Plus, the transportation by oil tankers is a costly and time-consuming process that is much more expensive than the use of direct pipeline deliveries they used to get. So, EU countries are purchasing oil and oil products at the spot market price from alternative sources, and taking into account the increased freight costs rather than the price ceiling they set for Russia. So as a result, the countries in which Russia has good diplomatic relations have become the main beneficiaries in Russian oil cargo flows. They've become not only the largest importers, but also the hubs for the transshipment of all raw materials and oil products. I mean, it's notable that a significant proportion of the oil reaching Europe is Russian, despite the prohibition on its re-export. I mean, there's no impediment to the direct mixing of Russian oil on tankers and mixing it with others. So with regard to oil products, it's probable that European countries are buying the same oil in process form when they publish from Turkey or India. I mean, analysts anticipate a continued upward trajectory in oil prices on the global markets because of the heightened tension in the geopolitically and the uncertainty over future interest rates. So a barrel of Brent could approach $90 by the end of the summer. I mean, in this price environment, Russia and the intermediary countries, as well as the United States, which has fully taken over the European market by controlling their oil refineries, will benefit from the sale of Russian oil, price-wise and profit-wise. I mean, Europe will continue to bear the financial burden of aligning itself with only American interests rather than pursuing its own, and they become, pretty much the US's useful idiots. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me fund the channel and the website, SCO BRICS Insight.com, by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Thank you.